Welcome to the Increda-dental podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Flynn. Our goal is to make a positive impact in the dental field. I have been a dental assistant, a biller, an office manager, a scheduler, a hygienist, and a dental coach, which makes me your biggest fan. My husband was in the military and we traveled all over the United States. I had opportunities to work in many different practices, and I saw incredible practices and practices that had a lot of potential within them. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive into the podcast. I'm Alicia Flynn from Increda-dental. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to speak about how to gain control of your day. Basically, a form of time management, how to gain control of your time. I know that I have days, and I'm sure that you do as well, where you look back and you think, what the heck? What happened to my time? What's going on? And you feel kind of like that was a day wasted, or I should have used my time better. And you feel maybe even robbed where you didn't use your time as well. So I'm going to share with you something that I learned, and it involves a story with one of my kids. So I took my son, he got his braces off, super happy day, right? And we went to the orthodontist about 9 a.m. because I'm a good mom, and I let him sleep in. And then 10 a.m., we're leaving the orthodontist, I'm driving him to school, and he looks at me and goes, wow, there are a lot of people on the road. What are they doing? And I talked about doctor visits and people going out, maybe going to parks and recreation activities or running errands. And he goes, well, what do you do when we're at school? What do you do with your time? And it was kind of an interesting question because I need to do better on documenting my time. So what I want to speak to you today about is a time journal. Now, it's not time travel, it's a time journal. And this is what it is. I want you to keep track of your time. So that way you know where you're wasting time and where you're spending time in what quantities. Because it's what I did from that little event that I had with my son is I listed the errands I was going to run that day. And then I decided I'd keep track of my time. And I thought the errands that I had to run would probably take me about an hour. Well, it was more like 2 hours with traffic and everything. So it was kind of disappointing to me how long it took. But at the same time, it was an eye-opener. It helped me to learn where my time was being spent and if I was using it in the best way. Sometimes in the evening, we plan to play a game with our kids or to go to the gym or the store or to go visit a neighbor or a friend. And what happens? We don't do it. Sometimes we get stuck on social media or scrolling on the computer or sucked into a Netflix or a movie series that we really like. But what we wanted to do, what the intention for us to spend our time where we wanted it to be spent, we didn't spend it wisely. Now, sometimes when I go to Costco and they ask me, did you find everything you need? I'll tell them, well, I couldn't find time anywhere. And I've been directed to thyme several times, but a lot of times they laugh and they're like, yeah, if you find it, let me know. But then I smile and I realize and I say back, if I knew how much it costs, I probably couldn't afford it. So we need to be deliberate and intentional about the time we have because there are no reimbursements, there are no refunds in the time that we have. And if we're not deliberate on it, we lose out. And as well as our family and our friends, they lose out too. So it's not just one person losing out on this. So this is why I want you to do a time journal. I'm going to give you some options of how to do this. So option A, this is like someone who's really wanting to drill down exactly how they're spending their day, is where you keep track of your time every 15 minutes. You keep an alarm on your phone for every 15 minutes, and you write down what you did during that 15 minutes. So that way you know where your time is being spent. Now, this can be very tedious, but you only have to do this once, and we recommend that you do it for a week. Now, if you're like, I can't do a week, try it for 2 days or 3 days. But it allows you to really dial in on where you're spending your time and where you can improve. Now, if that's too much, the level B is where you write down your time every 30 minutes. And you can have an assistant help you on this. You can have an office member help you on this, writing down where your time is being spent, because it's hard to do this alone. So you can ask for help from your staff. So be very deliberate on how you're spending your time. And then the level C is 1 hour. What do you do with your time every hour? It's not as detailed. Sometimes you kind of bluff your way a little bit, saying, well, I think I only spent an hour running errands and going to visit that one friend, and when actually it was an hour and a half. So that's why the 30 minutes is better and the 15 minutes is best. But it still provides you with a better understanding of how you're spending your time. And it gives you the opportunity to gain control of your time. Because when we choose to be intentional and deliberate, we are able to rank what matters most to us and what matters most to those who we encounter. And that time, we don't get a refund on it. We have to be intentional on how we use it. And when we become intentional and we use it wisely, it lifts an incredible burden off our shoulders, but it also gives us time for downtime, because downtime is not bad, except when we don't use it wisely. When we don't choose a time like, I'm going to spend an hour just watching TV. I'm going to spend an hour playing with my kids or visiting my neighbor. Choose how you want to spend that time. That you can choose if it's an hour, 30 minutes, whatever works for you, but be intentional, and it will help you to gain control of your life as well as the management of your time. Because when that happens in your personal life and in your professional life, you feel better about what you're doing. You feel more accomplished, more in control, and you kind of almost take a deliberate step off the rat race. Because when we're intentional about our time, we're choosing our pace and we're choosing our interactions. So time journal, 15 minutes, level A, 30 minutes, level B, level C, 1 hour. Have your staff help you. Have your kids or your spouse or your significant other, have them help you on this journey. It's best to keep it for 1 week, and that includes weekends. But if that's too much, start out with a couple days and gain control of how you're spending your time and choose where you want to spend it. Thanks for joining me. I'm Alicia Flynn.